Hey guys, I'm back, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'm going to be ranking all 6 Omen movies from worst to best, as we have a new Omen movie, The First Omen. It's been out for a bit of time now, probably a bit late to be making this video. Anyways, everything in this video is spoiler free. If you have seen these movies, feel free to let me know your ranking of them in the comments below, and without further ado, let's begin with this ranking video. In last place, The Omen 2006, and it might be a little bit of a hot take to put us below some of the other entries in this franchise, but out of all of the movies, this is the one that just makes me the most angry. It's such a lazy, tedious, and just in general incompetent remake of the original. Is everything wrong with remakes? It's just retelling the story of the first movie, the story that we already know in such a basic and lazy manner, and it just removes everything that worked about the original, and that was telling the story. The sense of fear, dread, and intrigue all completely gone here. The set pieces are the same with small changes, because hey, that makes them different, doesn't it? Any new set pieces and scenes are stupid and pointless. The effects are terrible, and Damien in this is more punchable than he was in the original. That doesn't particularly impact how I critique this film, but yeah, this film is just rage-inducing. At number 5 is Omen IV: The Awakening. What needs to be said about this movie? This is an incompetent rehash of the original that is a desperate attempt to continue the franchise that just kind of fails on all fronts. It's a TV movie, so a lot of it is toned down. As a result, there's no fear factor for pretty much the whole thing. It's dull, it's uninteresting, it's incompetent. That's kind of it, to be honest. That's all that really needs to be said about this movie. I like it slightly more than the Omen 2006, and you can laugh at some of it with friends. That's kind of it. This movie's not very good. At number 4 is The Final Conflict. This movie sucks, and I don't mean that in a traditional this movie sucks way, like in an Omen IV: The Awakening sucks way. I actually mean it as in it is annoying. By this point in the franchise, it had gone so uninteresting, and that is a problem because this is the film that is wrapping up the Omen trilogy. It is The Final Conflict, and it's the most forgettable film in the franchise, in my opinion. I remember so little about this film. It's fun to see Sam Neill as Damien, and that's kind of all I have to say in terms of positives. I just remember so little about this film, except for it just being so uninteresting and dull. It's just telling us the story, and it's just telling us the rest of the Omen story and what happens in such an uninteresting manner, and it doesn't make it entertaining. It's just there, happening, telling us what is going on, but we don't get to have fun with it. It's just there existing in a completely uninteresting and dull manner. Needless to say, I don't like it. At number 3 is Damien Omen II, a very disappointing follow-up to the original, in my opinion. It's basically just an Omen slasher movie, but a boring one. Jonathan Scott Taylor is good as Damien, in my opinion, but the film really is so disappointing coming after the first one, where all of the tension and dread is swapped out for a dull and forgettable film that just has none of what worked about the original. I don't have much to say about this film, because this film doesn't have much to contribute to the Omen franchise. It really is a shame after the first one, seeing the story continued in such an uninteresting and dull manner, but hey. Yeah, again, I really don't have much to say about it. It is, as I've said, dull and forgettable and uninteresting in my opinion, but it's more watchable than the previous films I've talked about. At number 2 is The First Omen. Guys, we're actually getting into some good movies now. This is a really shockingly competent horror movie. I actually had such low expectations for it, and it completely surpassed them. It's a good prequel. It ties into the original really well, whilst also standing on its own and being an interesting movie on its own, which is what prequels should be in my opinion. It's atmospheric, it's good at building up fear and escalating things, and I feel like that escalation is kind of reflected in Nell Tiger Free's performance as the protagonist. Nell Tiger Free is great in this. She does a really good job of kind of doing what the script asks of her, because as the movie progresses, more and more is asked of her, and she pulls it all off really well, and the film really showcases her acting abilities. There are some underlying themes that run throughout the movie that are quite interesting. It's well directed. Arkasha Stevenson is a director to look out for in my mind, definitely. It's a really solid horror movie and a good Omen prequel. I feel like the runtime is a bit longer than needed. At the same time, I feel like that kind of contributes to the escalation element of this movie that I mentioned that it does well. But at the same time, I feel like the runtime is a bit longer than needed. And there's no denying that it's not as consistently intriguing as the actual first Omen, the original Omen. But overall, it's a good horror movie, and I was very happy with it. It definitely subverted my expectations. At number 1 is The Omen. This film works as a mystery film and as a psychological horror film. It remains consistently intriguing throughout its runtime. It is really good at building up dread and fear and tension and all those things as the story unfolds, and it just remains, as I said, consistently intriguing, interesting, and just riveting. Its cast is good, its characters aren't terrible. It's a pretty simplistic film for a lot of it, at least superficially, but a very effective one. And that might be why I don't have a lot to say about it, but at the end of the day, what really can be said about The Omen that hasn't already been said, it's a really great example of how to build tension, intrigue, mystery, fear and dread, and how to do a psychological horror film right. It's a very, very, very strong horror movie. So thank you very much for watching this ranking video. If you did enjoy, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to. Once again, if you have seen these movies, feel free to let me know your ranking of them in the comments below and your thoughts on them in the comments below. I know I didn't talk about any of these movies for particularly long. I didn't have much to say on them. This video wasn't very long. My ranking videos aren't very long in general. I have a bit of a busy life right now because I'm doing GCSEs, so I can't focus all my time on YouTube. But once I'm done with those, if I'm still alive by then, I hope to focus on YouTube more and all this stuff more. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.